Behaviorism, social learning theory, and poverty and mental health. Parent and child poverty related stress can affect the children through biology and psychosocial avenues, not only once the children are born, but also in utero. Cognitive deficits can occur during fetal development. A child's biological stress hormones, which is cortisol, can continually activate due to outside poverty stressors. Some of the studies say that children have been tested with the same levels of cortisol as a vet who's been in combat. That means they're constantly on alert, constantly checking their surroundings, and filled with anxiety about what comes next. Poverty increases parents' depressed mood. The inability to provide for a child has to create a certain amount of worthlessness and depression, which contributes to relationship conflicts, inconsistent parenting styles. One day, what the child does is not a problem. The next, a parent may find it necessary to discipline. These behaviors may manifest in children during the classroom time. Whatever they saw at home, they're going to model. They're going to do it during classroom whenever they interact with authority figures, in particular teachers and police, and other community organizations such as churches. They're going to always model what they've seen. If a parent uses anger and violence to solve a problem, a child will address their problems in similar ways, creating a negative behavioral cycle. Support for behaviorism, social learning. You have to assess the parent and child using age appropriate tools to identify the levels of cognitive functioning. One of the studies suggested that the results may not have been accurate because the tools used to assess a child were not on their cognitive level. Use behavioral health assessment system to assess the client and family, and I'll have details on the next slide. Early mental health interventions, wherever possible with youth and adolescent. The earlier, the better the outcome, as well as the duration, not a short term, let's meet once a month type of thing, but a long term treatment plan. You can introduce parents to parenting classes, have a behavior plan not only for the kid but for the parent in school and aftercare. Work on relationship communication skills, mentoring programs within the community. Education is important through not just giving information and support, but materials and goods and services where available, and if not available in the community, helping the family find access to that. Support among extended family members is extremely important in emotional stabilization. And here are some of the domains for ABS assessment. They're assessed on a Likert scale 1 to 5, with 1 needing very little or no intervention and 5 being the most serious. And that's life domain, school, how a parent and children act in each of these different domains. Case management for the individual and the family. Listen. You must listen to the concerns of the client and the family in order to establish trust and rapport. You have to understand the context of what is happening. If the client does not trust you, they will not open up and give you pertinent information for an accurate assessment. Identify a plan through proper biopsychosocial assessments. Focus on the client family strengths and talents, not necessarily the problems. Remember, only pick 3 of the main issues. Educate your client and family to what services are available. Advocate on behalf of the client and family in unresponsive entities. Huntsville now has CIT, crisis intervention training for police officers, because of the advocates in this community. They worked tirelessly for 3 or 4 years. Now it's funded federally. Make a plan to decrease mental health discomfort and external stressors. If you can get a parent a job, that's a release of external stressor. Make sure everything is done in small steps and continue to monitor everyone for the task that they're supposed to complete for goal attainment. Community practice, you figure out if stuff that's already here is working. Educate the community and stakeholders about mental health in order to decrease the stigma associated with mental health. Implement a crisis intervention plan with all agencies if one is not already in place. First responders, mental health courts, juvenile justice system. Advocate for more funding. That's every day on every level. And help schools implement programs to increase graduation rates and job skills training. Social work practice in urban areas. Acknowledge the historical oppression of people based on race and the validation of life experience influenced by that oppression. Their experience happened. Don't deny it. Educate yourself and other agencies for cultural competency, a necessity for effectively helping clients. And here are some of the mental health resources within Huntsville, Alabama community. Key points: poverty increases the levels of mental illness in children and adolescents and is shown to contribute to the increase of cognitive deficits in urban youth. It's a two-way relationship. Urban areas and poverty affect mental health, and mental health affect those things. Mental health is linked to increased impulsivity, behavior problems in children and adolescents. Early intervention programs can decrease risk of prolonged mental health crisis. The cycle of poverty can be broken with a coalition of community stakeholders, and mental health problems can be greatly reduced with income equality, equal pay, a living wage. And this is one of the final thoughts. When a nation provides a more solid safety net for the poor with fewer cracks to fall through, there will be fewer negative impacts on children's economic, physical, and mental, emotional outcomes. My references, and good night.